Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to yet another Cutter Top 10 video, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 college basketball upsets of all time. Of course, rocking the Arkansas shirt, and no, Arkansas is not in this list either as the guys who made the upset or were upsetted against. So we have ourselves some big upsets and all that, too. There is actually one game that was an upset that it's not part of the NCAA tournament, but it has to be said. It has to be. Like, really. All that. All right, so here we go. Number 10 is Lehigh taking care of Duke in the 2012 NCAA tournament. Duke was a 2 seed. They had some great players. I don't know if this was the R.J. Barrett team, but anyway, no, I don't think so. But anyway, Lehigh was a school from Pennsylvania, known for their old school college football thing in the 1910s. But anyway, Lehigh was a 15 seed and beat Duke 75-70 in Charlotte. You know, Duke would have the fans in North Carolina. But anyway, Duke couldn't believe their luck. Number 9 is Chaminade against Virginia in the 1982 regular season. Remember when I said that there was one NCAA tournament match that did not, well, one of these entries that was not an NCAA tournament match? No, you got it. You have Chaminade versus Virginia. Virginia was known as being the big school with Ralph Sampson and a few other players involved. In the 1982-83 season, Hawaii would usually host a tournament invited Virginia, and Virginia would take on the local school, the Chaminade Silver Sword, who were playing Division II, and basically was a very small school. Their athletic facilities were basically a shack. But Chaminade, one of Ralph Sampson's childhood friends, actually played for Chaminade, and he took down Sampson. As Chaminade wins 77-72, this school just beat the number 1 team in the nation. It would actually be kind of a backdoor moment, but if it wasn't for the legendary Tom Brokaw doing the news piece, and you could see it on YouTube. The Tom Brokaw piece was just amazing, what he could do. Number 8 is Richmond taking down Syracuse in the 91 NCAA tournament. Richmond became the first 15 or 16 seed to win an NCAA tournament game, meaning that it was the first time that a 1 or 2 seed did not get out of the first round. Syracuse was a very calm school and all that. They knew what to do. Richmond was the Richmond Spiders and all that. But they came through winning 73-69, putting up things against Syracuse. I think they lost the next round. But yeah, Richmond made sure that everyone knew that a 15 seed could beat a 2 seed. And speaking of that, that's number 7, and that's Middle Tennessee State taking on Michigan State in 2016. The MSU Spartans with Tom Izzo were a 2 seed. Middle Tennessee was this little known school, and there was one guy that actually kind of looked like Steph Curry, but he wasn't Steph Curry. But anyway, Middle Tennessee State made a massive play, and they won the game 90-81. Michigan State had little chance. Everyone thought Michigan State was going to make the Final Four, at least. But nope, they didn't even get past the first round. And that was huge. Number 6 is Norfolk State over Missouri. This was a very thrilling game, as Missouri had the Presley twins and George O'Quinn for Norfolk State. Who can forget about him? But yeah, Norfolk took down number 2 Missouri in a tight game. Missouri had the final shot, but missed. And the Spartans, I think that's what they're known as, they pulled it off against Missouri, winning the game 86-84 and moving on to the second round. Number 5 is Santa Clara versus Arizona. This was a very impressive. Sorry, am I wrong? Yeah, I am wrong. Sorry. Number 6 is Santa Clara, Arizona. Or did I give too many upsets? Oh, I did give too many upsets. There was, sorry, the Middle Tennessee one was not supposed to be in the list. Ugh. So the true number 6 is Santa Clara versus Arizona. My fault. I did that wrong. Yeah, so Santa Clara, Arizona, 93. Number 2, Arizona was looking good. They had a young Damon Stoudemire on the team and Khalil Reeves. Santa Clara just had this ragtag lineup from California and a Canadian point guard by the name of Steve Nash. Yes, that guy. Santa Clara took down Arizona 64-61, and Steve Nash in his freshman year at Santa Clara was just amazing with the ball and all that. Santa Clara, I think, lost in the second round. They were close. But it actually helped Steve Nash out. 3 years more in college, Santa Clara, and Steve Nash was drafted by the Phoenix Suns. Um, Number 5 is Villanova versus Georgetown. This was huge because Villanova was an 8 seed. The 85 NCAA title was the first time that 64 teams chose the title. Now it's up to 68. But anyway, Villanova is an 8 seed playing near perfect basketball to beat the defending champion Georgetown Hoyas. Georgetown had a bit of a dynasty in the 80s. 3 title appearances in 4 years, missing in 1982 thanks to Fred Brown's pass to Sleepy Floyd, which was, well, tried to pass to Sleepy Floyd, but James Worthy intercepted it. And then they won 84 against Houston, the perpetual losers. But anyway, Villanova played near perfect basketball. Nobody predicted them to go far in the tournament, and they proved it. Villanova would be playing their Big East rival Georgetown in the final. You know, St. John's was also in the Final Four, and they were a Big East team. But yeah, Villanova and Georgetown battled. Villanova put up 78% as a team to beat Georgetown. They had to play near perfect basketball. Patrick Ewing was in his final game as a Georgetown Hoya, if you must know. Number 4 is Florida Gulf Coast and Dunk City against Georgetown. This was a huge one because Florida Gulf Coast, who the heck heard of those guys? They were rated 15th. They would take on number 2 Georgetown. And everyone was just captivated in Philadelphia. They would use a lot of dunks, including that one dunk with like 2 minutes left when they stole the ball and then threw up a seemingly impossible alley oop, and the guy reached back and whammed it into the hoop. Gulf Coast would beat Georgetown. Not only that, they actually won their second round match and become the first 15 seed to get to the Sweet 16. It was just unbelievable. That was one of the most improbable runs in history. Very much so. Number 3 is Fairleigh Dickinson University versus Purdue in 2023. Purdue had a very solid team. They had Zach Edey. They had, a great offense and all that. But Fairleigh Dickinson from New Jersey proved their worth and took out Purdue. Purdue was the 1 seed in their group and were expected to go back to the Final Four, but Fairleigh Dickinson said, "Not today, boys." And they pulled off a massive upset. Number 2 is NC State Houston 1983 NCAA title. NC State was a 6 seed. The Wolfpack had to win the ACC playoffs just to get into this tournament because they didn't really give a lot of large bets. I like you. I like you too. Anyway, NC State did their job. Houston, without Clyde Drexler, he was drafted. No, this was Drexler's draft year, right? Yeah, in '83, this was Drexler's draft year. That's right. And then Elijah won in '84. Was drafted first overall. But yeah, Elijah and Drexler were putting up numbers, and Houston knew what to do. I know I did the last video about the top 10 emotional moments, and I said Drexler left Houston, but I was wrong. I read that wrong. Anyway, yeah, NC State almost got taken out by Pepperdine of all teams in double overtime. They proved upset after upset, and now they had to face Houston by Slam Jamma. And, NC State held on the ball, knowing that Houston would go fast break and boom. So, in the era without a shot clock, 1986 proved to be the first year of a shot clock from college. The Wolfpack passed all the way through, and then Derek Wittenberg, with only a few seconds left, time waning, put up a 30-footer. Lorenzo Charles caught the ball. No one saw him and slammed it down. Now, if that ball seemed to be in the cylinder, Lorenzo Charles' dunk would not have happened because that was offensive goaltending. But it wasn't. Lorenzo knew what to do. He slammed it down. Game went 54-52. Jim Valvano does his mad dash on the court, and the Houston players were down on the court crying and smacking the court. That school, Houston, has not won an NCAA championship. They missed in 2025. Kind of sucks. And finally, number one is, I think you would know that, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC for short, would take on the Retrievers, would take on the Virginia Cavaliers, who were the 1 seed, not just in their thing, but overall. Everyone thought Virginia was going to win the 2018 title. They had a spook thing a couple years prior and almost did it. But yeah, Virginia was trying so hard. And somehow, in some way, Virginia just couldn't get the ball in the hoop, whereas the Retrievers could. UMBC not only beat Virginia, making it the first time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed, but the margin of victory was the big part. It was 74-54 as they took care of the Cavaliers. They shocked them and all that. I think they lost their next game. What's even more messed up in a sense is that Virginia the next year actually went on what they called the Ultimate Redemption Tour, and not only won their first round game in 2019, they won the tournament. That's right. The Virginia Cavaliers went from being knocked out as a 1 seed in 2018 in the first freaking round to winning the national title in 2019. So, things happen. They really do. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.